What's up, my fellow warbirds, aka the War Eagle is back with another video, and this time we are taking a look at the very first dev blog for update 1.99. Hard to believe, War Thunder is already almost up to 2.0, but of course, they like their odd numbers, so it's going to be 1.99. And our first dev blog is on the ZSD-63, which is a Chinese SPAA developed on the basis of the Type 63 APC in the 1980s to address the urgent need for a modern, mobile anti-air vehicle. Coming to War Thunder with the upcoming update, the ZSD-63 will join the ranks of the Chinese ground tree, extending the SPAAG with a powerful new addition. A Chinese SPAAG developed on the basis of the Type 63 APC, fitted with dual 25mm anti-air turrets. Okay, pros and cons. I mean, you can just read that there, but they don't really mean anything because Gaijin kind of just throws things in there sometimes. Alright, history. During the 1980s, Chinese engineers finished developing a new dual 25mm turret designated the PG-87, intended to replace the outdated 37mm anti-air cannons in service with the Chinese armed forces in the years prior. Work on this replacement already began in the 1970s, but lacking interest and shifting priorities led to the development of work being prolonged into the next decade. Around the same time, the Chinese military was in dire need of new mobile SPAA in order to successfully carry out its air defense tasks. As no new vehicles could be developed in short notice, the decision was made to convert existing Type 63 APC chassis into SPAAGs with the newly developed PG-87. The result of this undertaking was an SPA variant of the Type 63 APC, which entered service with the Chinese military sometime in the late 1880s and early 1990s. It is unknown how many APCs were converted into the SPAG, or if the vehicle is still in active service today, because China likes to keep their secrets. In War Thunder, the ZSD-63 will be a new low-ranked Chinese SPAA, waiting all tankers coming to the update. Being a new addition to the Chinese lower ranks, the ZSD-63 will give tankers much-needed access to the deadly SPAA vehicle capable of shielding its allies on the ground from pesky airborne attackers. Being an SPAA version of the widely used Type 63, the centerpiece of the ZSD-63 equipment is its dual 25mm anti-aircraft turret mounted on the top and the rear of the vehicle's hull. Having a high rate of fire of 600 rounds per minute in combination with good gun handling characteristics makes the ZSD-63 ideally suited for swatting overly confident and situationally unaware pilots out of the sky. However, tankers and lightly armored vehicles should be lulled into a false sense of security with the presence of the ZSD, as the latter's APC rounds can easily punch through armor of light targets, thus also making them fair game for the ZSD-63. On the other hand, one severe drawback future commanders of this machine will need to deal with is the rather limited supply of ammo. In fact, the ZSD-63 can only hold up to 480 rounds of ammo, 240 per barrel, split between 6 belts of 40 rounds, resulting in the ability of only being able to reload 6 times in the heat of battle. As a result, tankers will need to carefully use their ammo during combat to preserve high endurance or maintain close distance to a nearby capture point in order to be able to restock their ammo once it inevitably runs out. Fortunately, if the tankers choose the more mobile-dependent tactic of the two mentioned above, there's a good spot of news. Namely, since it is based on the APC chassis, means that the ZSD-63 boasts good mobility even on rough terrain. Thanks to its 260 horsepower engine and relatively low combat weight, the ZSD-63 is able to achieve a top speed of 60 kph on roads, thus being more than capable of keeping up with the advance of its allies. Unfortunately, as many seasoned tankers surely know, light combat vehicles usually means light protection. This is the most definitely the case with the ZSD-63, featuring up to 12mm of steel plating as protection for the vehicle's crew and modules. Furthermore, the turret of the ZSD-63 is open-topped, meaning its crew is somewhat exposed to enemy fire, especially to aircraft performing strafing runs. As a result, tankers will need to resort to making most of the vehicle's excellent mobility to change positions and stay out of the enemy sights whenever possible. The ZSD-63 is arriving to War Thunder ground forces in the next update and will be available to all tankers at rank 2 in the Chinese ground tree. In the meantime, be sure to stay tuned to the news as we share more details on what players can expect with the next major update coming to the game in the near future. Until then, happy hunting, tankers. Now, if it sounded like I was rushing that, it's because this is my third attempt at reading this whole thing because stupid computer. Anyway, so my thoughts on it. Well, I do know China has been needing an SPAA line for quite a while, actually. What surprises me, though, is I know that this is going to be a rank 2 in Chinese tank tree. And it seems like this might be a reasonable SPAA for rank 2. Here's my question, though. This is supposed to be a modern-day vehicle. Late 80s, early 90s. Why on earth is China using this in the early 80s, late 90s, where it only had, 40 rounds per belt, with a max of 280 rounds of ammo, with 240 per barrel? That doesn't make a lick of sense to me. It seems like it was a very rushed logistics kind of job. I mean, I don't know much about Chinese ground forces and whatnot, but to me, that if I'm thinking modern day, and I understand, China, they weren't exactly the most developed at the time, but I would have thought that they could have developed something better, being late 80s, early 90s. Also, another thought is, China has already had ground forces. So it makes me wonder what's going to be the centerpiece for this update. Certainly, it's not going to be just the Chinese ground SPA line. There's got to be probably something else, but interesting first choice for the dev blog, for first dev blog for this update. Anyway, so yeah, looking forward to see what else is coming. If you guys like what you saw, of course, leave a like on the video. Don't forget to also subscribe to the channel, and the link to the Discord will be in the description below. And as always, I hope you guys have enjoyed.